All right, guys, welcome everybody to the podcast. Today I'm here with Kaylee Guerrero, daughter of WWE superstar or former WWE superstar Eddie Guerrero. And guys, I'm very excited for this podcast. It's going to be very cool. Been looking forward to this for a while. So, Kaylee, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be here.
For sure. So I guess I'll get you to start with giving like a brief little introduction about like who you are, what you do, just in case there's anybody watching this that isn't sure.
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Kaylee Mahoney Guerrero. I am Eddie Guerrero's third and youngest daughter. I originally was going into the medical field, but after I realized the corruption, I actually chose to go into film and special effects. However, that industry is also being corrupted, so I'm a little bit to be determined at the moment, but
Right.
I'm just having fun with it all.
Right. What type of corruption in the medical industry? Like, I mean, we are on YouTube, so I don't want to go crazy into it, but I'm assuming you mean with like mandates maybe and stuff like that, or maybe
Yeah,
elaborate.
definitely not only the COVID mandates definitely made me want to leave that field, but also because when I originally got into healthcare, I really wanted to help people. And a lot of the time in the medical field, they look at people like a price tag rather than a human being. And that's just not something I was okay with because when I help people, I do it wholeheartedly, not for any type of money. So
Right.
I was
Yeah,
never.
no. I think it's super corrupt and they just try to like make money too. It's like what is this saying? Like a patient cured as a customer lost. And you saw that in COVID too. Oh my, they were like paying hospitals extra for like the more people that were in there during COVID. I don't even
Yes,
know if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube, but like that's
no.
insane.
You're right. I actually have a personal experience with that. So something I don't often talk about because it's a little bit of a touchy topic is my grandmother was like one of my closest friends, and she actually passed away in the house that I'm in. And when somebody passes away in the house, they often have to call the police and have the coroner come. And my grandmother had been sick for years. And when she had passed away eventually from her illness, COPD, here in the house, the officers were trying to say that she died from COVID, which she never had, and just to get a bigger payout. So
Oh
I,
my.
I actually know for a fact that is a real thing.
Wow, because they're incentivized to say like it was a COVID death just to rack up like the numbers. That is insane. I can't believe that. That like I know we're on YouTube. I don't want to go too far, but in my opinion, that's like the biggest fraud like in history was that whole thing. Not,
100%.
I'm not saying it's like fake or anything. YouTube, chill out. I'm not saying it was a fake virus, but they definitely inflated the numbers, no doubt.
I agree. I agree
And
because
then
even people that were getting in car accidents, they would say, "Oh, COVID death. This person had COVID, or they would have lived through this accident." So yeah, you're 100% right there. I think they were definitely saying it more than it was needed to one increase their statistic on the death toll for COVID, but also, like I said prior, a larger payout as well.
mhm. And then mandates too, like you can't go to this restaurant. I was always the type of person that like I'd walk past the front door and then like once I was in the store, I'd just put the mask down like below my chin. And then my parents would be like, pull your mask up. And I was just like getting like the craziest like arguments with my parents. Other customers would walk by and be like, oh, you're not wearing your mask properly. I'd be like, get out of here. Like that was also the biggest scam. I'm just going in, like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I have a lot of like pent up like not like aggression, but you know what I'm saying? Like kind of like anger
Mhm.
towards like everything that happened in COVID. Because like my whole baseball thing got shut down too. Like my park
Yeah.
was supposed to host like this huge tournament. I was like grinding for that my whole life, and then boom, COVID. And then like on top of that, they throw on so much bull crap. So
No,
really shame.
I can agree with you there as well. That's actually why I did not attend a 4 year university. I graduated right in the height of the pandemic, where our prom and our graduation, all of this stuff was affected by it. And when I went to go to a 4 year university, even living in Florida, which is a pretty open state, all the universities here in Florida and all across America were requiring the COVID vaccination, which I was not willing to get. And
Yeah,
mind you, I was valedictorian with an offer from Duke and still turned it down because I was not willing to get vaccinated.
that's based. That's really based. What made you become like kind of like conservative and stuff? Like what was there like a certain event or were you kind of just like raised in that way?
Well, I think it was really my move to Orlando, Florida.
Mhm.
I had left the medical field, as I said prior, and I went to a trade in Orlando where I learned how to do special effects, practical effects, which was like sculpting, molding, casting, painting, all that fun stuff. And while being there, I had always just thought, like, oh, I'm going to go into art. It's going to be so freeing. This is going to be so nice. And to my surprise, I got there and the majority of my class was with liberal ideology and they were constantly pushing it on me. And I remember this like very particular discussion where, you know how it is, I'm sure even in high school, you know, you get in from your weekend and you chat with your friends.
Mhm.
And when we would all do that, everybody would talk about who they had like hooked up with and like, you know, the weekend
Yeah.
prior. And I had made a comment like, oh, I'm can't say the same, you know, I'm saving myself. And everybody in the room said, ew. You know, do you think maybe you shouldn't tell people that? That's a bad thing. Like, you know, that's probably why you're single. And yeah, they would
Wow,
just
like
like,
saving yourself for marriage, kind of?
yeah, I am. So they like
Yeah.
hated on me for that. And I realized in that moment, like, wow, you guys are not inclusive at all. Like,
Yeah.
you guys just hate me for this. And then another big thing was working in the film industry. You know, I'd work my butt off basically. I'd be in the lab from 5 a.m. to 12 o'clock at night. Like, I'd go home for a few hours, eat, sleep, and go back. And I noticed that a lot of the girls that were willing to do OnlyFans or kind of show themselves
Mhm.
off would get opportunities over the girls that actually were doing their due diligence. And it was a really big turnoff because I realized that every time, twice actually, I was offered a job, it had been taken by a girl who slept with our boss. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah. So it definitely affected me in that way. And then also just like I was there in class one day and this girl had told me, I'm not going to say her name just for the sake of the podcast, but
Mhm.
she was like, hey, I go by they, them now, you know, and and she had actually missed class because her grandmother died. And
Mhm.
as I was speaking on my grandmother dying, you know, I had said openly in class, like, oh my goodness, I miss her so much, you know, because she was my lab partner. And she, even though I, you know, she believes whatever, she was still really fun to be around. So I was like, wow, I really miss so and so. And I had referred to her as her, and everybody in that class ran over to me and was like, you're misgendering her, you hate her, how dare you. And it was like at that moment that I called my
It's
mom and
insane.
I was like, I should have never moved to Orlando. What have I done? Like, I'm a country girl at heart. Like, what have I do?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's insane. Like a lot of colleges are like incredibly left leaning, but I feel like that's kind of like deterring people from college. Like
Yeah.
people with like a good head on their shoulders, they see college and they see professors that have like blue hair. They see people coming out there with like gender studies degrees with like green hair. They're like overweight. It's like that's kind of like that right there is kind of like the fruit that shows you that, you know, maybe college and university is like not for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think another big reason too is just wanting to have a family so badly. Like, although, you know, I work in film and I actually have a really big project coming up where I'm going to be going overseas, it kind of got to the point where I was doing all of this like work and stuff. And I said to myself, you know, when would I be most happy and when would I feel most successful? And truth be told, no amount of money that I could be offered for any project would ever make me as happy as being a mother. And that's wholeheartedly all I want. Like I
Mhm.
talk about it all the time. I know I'm only 22, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel so old because like I already want to be a wife and have a family. So I think that was another really big thing for me too, is I would never ever allow my kids in a school system that we are currently seeing here in America with all this ideology. And I think that was a really big factor too, is when you think about your adult life and where you want to end up one day and what views you want to have to protect your kids, you're automatically going to change them to a conservative view if you really
Mhm.
care about your children. And yeah, I think that was another really big factor for me as well.
Mhm. Yeah, no doubt. What do you think about like the education system as a whole? Like, I feel like even high school, like not necessarily like a political thing, but even just the curriculum that they teach us is just like crazy. Like it's ridiculous. Like half the things I'm learning, I'm never gonna actually have to use. Is like I
Mhm,
want to be a podcaster. I don't need to learn about like
mhm,
indigenous cultures. Like I have like an indigenous class right now. It's like it's beautiful. Like I'm part indigenous myself, but I don't think we need to like be taught that and sit
mhm.
down and just like for 6 hours a day we have to just sit in our class.
6
Like
hours.
No, it's insane.
Honestly, I can say I can agree with you there, especially because I feel the school system, even before the politics really got involved in it, had really gone downhill because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, they're teaching you how to be an employee. They're teaching you how
Facts.
to be a corporate monkey, how to be a slave. They do not
Facts.
teach you how to go and be a business owner or how to go and just make money in general. And I think that's one of the biggest flaws with the school system
Yeah.
is most people that get out of there go right into a 4 year, go right into student debt, have all this debt they have to pay off, hoping that their 4 year degree is enough to get whatever job that's supposed to pay off their debt. And inevitably, they just get broke and broke and broke, just more and
Mhm.
more and more. And I actually find that not only myself, but my other friends who didn't do a 4 year have been much more financially successful as well.
Mhm. Well, they don't want entrepreneurs. Like, I even feel like I get subtly, like, not like really, but kind of subtly looked down because, like, down upon because I do this podcast. It's like people are always like, "Oh, what college are you thinking about? Like, what career choice?" I'm like, "This is it right here." Just networking, making this a big thing. But they don't encourage being your own person in school. They encourage
Mhm,
groupthink. Like, that's all they want in school is for you to just like follow everything that they're doing, groupthink, and
mhm,
I don't know. It's really not for me, to be honest. I don't think it's for a lot of kids. Like one size fits all.
mhm.
It's
I
ridiculous. They
also
really got to reassess.
I think it's too like just teaching people how to conform once again,
Yeah,
and that's
facts.
exactly what they try to do to us in the pandemic as well is make everybody conform. And I think that's when you really lose a part of yourself. You lose a part of humanization in a sense. Like I feel like the school system is almost like purposely dehumanizing children and
Yeah.
young adults to conform to what the bigger person is going to say rather than think for themselves and
Hmm.
excel their mind.
Yeah, no, that it's exactly that. Like you literally just like it's like wait until you get instructions from above. But if you're always programmed like that, you're never going to be able to self motivate because you're always just
Mhm,
waiting for authority to tell you what to do. And then that transpires, you become an adult, and now you're an adult and you're putting on that mask. You're taking
mhm.
that vaccine, you're not
Yeah.
questioning things.
Yes, 100%.
It's crazy. Vaughn Vicious, thank you so much for the 5. Appreciate that. W guest W stream. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, I know this is a W guest for sure. I also want to ask you a bit about your father Eddie because like I'm
Mhm.
a huge WWE fan, have been since I was like a young kid. Um yeah, and also my dad's like a huge fan too. So I kind of just want to like hear a little bit about that. What's it like having Eddie as your father?
I think it's a bit bittersweet. And also, those of you who don't know, I also told Tyson if I have a lisp, I just got Invisalign like 2 days ago, so bear with me.
No, you
Uh,
don't. You're good. You're good.
but it's okay, both a blessing and a curse, because in one sense, it is such an amazing thing to feel so proud of my father and to say I came from this amazing, amazing human. But on the downside, I would say that it's also really difficult because typically when you have a parent die, you don't necessarily see them everywhere all the time. And so I think sometimes it can definitely bring up emotions kind of out of nowhere because I'll just be going about my day. And then next thing you know, I kind of have like a couple texts from like my friends being like,
Yeah.
oh, your dad's trending over here. But at the same time, I think it's also given me like a level of confidence because I feel like although I'm a girl, obviously,
Mhm.
I still feel like he always led with humility and grace.
Yeah.
And I feel very confident in the sense that if I'm ever going to do something public, I would definitely also want to lead with humility and grace. And I think he really set that standard for me and my sisters. So I think it's a really beautiful thing, to be able to look back and see his legacy. Because on the flip, as I was saying, it's kind of hard sometimes. But also, since he died and he was so famous, like for instance, I just went on a road trip to El Paso and I got to see all his memorabilia, all the murals of my dad, and things like that really warm my heart. Because, in a sense, like he may be gone, but there's a part of him that lived through all of you. And
Yeah.
that's a really beautiful thing for me.
For sure. No, that's beautiful for sure. And I could tell that you're very grounded, like you have that confidence. As soon as you join this call, I'm like, yeah, this is a confident girl with a good head on her shoulders, and I
Thank you.
think that comes from your dad. So
Thank
no,
you.
keep doing
I,
what you're doing because there's not a lot of girls. Like you see a lot of women nowadays, they're kind of cooked right now. I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of
Mhm.
cooked. So you're a good example for, I feel like,
Thank
what
you.
women should like strive to be like. You got a head on your shoulders, you're saving for marriage, you're conservative, got good values, you like Andrew and Tristan Tate. I mean, like, you basically check all the boxes, right? So
Thank you.
keep doing it.
And then
Sure.
I also have to say, my father, I normally don't speak about this, but I feel it's like a great time to, is my father had told my mom prior to him dying that his wishes were for us all to save ourselves, meaning my sisters and I, to all save ourselves for marriage, because he was very Christian, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have been kind of hating on me online recently, being like, Trump would deport your dad. Trump wants to deport you. And I'm like, first of
Oh.
all, my father and I are both American citizens. And secondly, my father was really, really Christian. I actually have this really cool story about why I think he would be MAGA. But basically, when I was a baby, or not a baby, I was inside my mom's stomach. Obviously, like some little context to this story, my mom was pregnant, so she had pregnancy hormones,
Yeah.
and my mom was pregnant with me, so she was looking for a house, like saying, "Hey, we need a bigger house." And my father had said out loud, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I can do this right now." And my mom, being pregnant, took that as, "You're not ready for our daughter that's coming." Whereas my dad meant, "I'm not ready to look at houses right now." So my mom left, not actually leaving him, but like leaving to go back to her mother's house. And my dad actually came to the house hysterical, crying, saying, "Please, please, Tara, if you're thinking about abortion, just leave her in a basket on the doorstep." So with the liberals and the Democratic Party's main focus being on abortion, I can tell you now that my father would have been MAGA,
Mhm.
especially with his prior begging for the basket on his
Yeah.
doorstep. When that was
That's
not my
so
mom.
funny.
My mom was not going to abort me. Let me just say that. Like,
Right. That's so funny. That's cool to hear that Eddie was also pretty base too, so you probably got that a little bit from him. And then, why are you a fan of Andrew Tate?
um, okay, so actually, again, this kind of leads into a story. So I came back from Orlando and I had seen this guy who was very charismatic on the TV screen during an emergency meeting.
Mhm.
Um, and I asked my mom, as I think I told you prior, like, "Who's this guy? Like, why do you like him? You know, like, what's going on? Like, who you watching?" And she was like, "Oh, this is Andrew Tate. You know, he also believes like everything I believe about COVID and the vaccination. And, you know, he was really my saving grace," she said, because you know, she was looking for just anybody to agree with her, so she knew she wasn't crazy. And basically, I had always watched Candace Owens. I look up to her a
Yeah,
lot. I think she's an amazing.
she's great.
She's funny. She's elegant. She's beautiful. Um, and I happened to run into her interview with Tristan and Andrew. And I really just thought that they had amazing views. You know, they weren't afraid to be themselves and they weren't afraid to stand up for what was right. And then also, I thought it was really cool, obviously, that they pay tribute to women who respect themselves, as the
Mhm.
majority of male influencers only talk about OF girls. So,
Right.
um, obviously, there's a lot of different reasons I like them. I also think that they give really great insight to problems going on in the world too. Like, I think anytime there's something happening, that they give you a perspective you may have not thought of on your own.
Mhm. Yeah, no, exactly. What do you think about people that are calling Andrew Tate a misogynist? Because obviously you're a girl. It's kind of cool to get like a girl's perspective. Like, what do you have to say to everybody that's saying, "Oh, Andrew Tate's a misogynist. We have to cancel him because he hates women"? What do you think about that?
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble on YouTube. I was gonna just put the meme that Tristan puts all the time, if you know what I mean, the GIF where, you know, that's gay. But
Oh yeah. Why are you gay? The African guy?
yes, yes,
Yeah. Why are
yes.
you gay? That's funny.
Yes. Um,
Guys, I
but
love it.
honestly, I don't find it misogynistic. Actually, the main clip that they had taken from Andrew and said that he was a misogynist from, I believe it was Pierce Morgan, potentially like interviewing him, and said something like, "Do you find women your property?" or something like that. And he was like, "Yeah, women are my property, you know?"
Big.
But I don't, but then he went further to explain, like, "I don't mean like I own her. I don't mean that like I purchased her. She's like my slave. I mean that that's my girl. Yeah, that like that's my property." You know what I mean? So I don't find him misogynistic. I feel like he actually really cares for women, because Oh geez, this really leads into it for me because I feel like the old feminists kind of ruined things for modern day women because by going and saying that like, you know, we have to go and lady boss our way up, then it makes all the girls that do want to stay at home and be a mom and just be a girl and a wife, you know, like the traditional values, like we often get looked down upon like, oh, you're lazy, or oh, you know, you're not doing enough. And I think that I don't find Andrew Tate a misogynist or Tristan Tate because they actually give women, you know, they actually say, hey, it's okay to be a woman. Hey, it's okay to be a mom and a wife. That is actually one of the most important things you can do. So I think that anybody that's going to advocate that much for women and for mothers, there's no way that he can be a misogynist, in my opinion.
Hmm. No, that's base. But so many feminists are just like corrupting the minds of
Yeah.
like the entire world. Like I feel like most girls, like I can't really speak for girls, but I feel like they'd be happier just like at home, like raising a family, you know, mother of the house or whatever. Not like a girl boss, independent boss girl. Like that whole vibe, like the independent boss girl vibe. I feel like it's just like so like cringe, you know?
Yeah, and I actually spoke to this on a space I did on my page, and I had a really cool analogy in the sense that I said, okay, say you have a wife and a husband and they both work, right? When they get home from work, are their duties any different? And what I mean by that is typically if a woman and a husband both work, when the woman gets home, her job is still to do the laundry, to clean, and to take care of the children, you know, the normal womanly duties. So why would you choose to go and work the same amount as your husband to go and do the same duties anyway when you could stay at home, allow your husband to work and not feel as tired doing those duties? Because
Hmm.
if you're working and then you come home to do the cooking, the cleaning, the taking care of the children, then you're going to be too tired to do it to the 100% of your ability. If you're not working and you're taking on those duties of taking care of the children, doing the laundry, you know, cooking, and a lot more too. I'm just, you know,
Hmm.
labeling the basics. You can actually do those to the 100% of your ability, meaning like raising your children to the best you can. And often I feel like with lady bosses, especially lady bosses that have children, they are not taking care of their
Lady
children to
boss.
the best of their ability.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Do you think that I feel like there's a reason for this though. I feel like it's because men are becoming weaker, so like women kind of need to take a leadership role. Like do you also believe that like not all men, but do you believe that like the narrative is kind of being pushed like men need to be weaker and like a lot of men are like listening and actually becoming like weaker?
I have such a qualm with this because I know, so okay, I don't know, are you familiar with book talk?
No, I'm not, no.
Okay, so basically, like any teenage girl, like you could probably ask some girls in your class or any girl in their 20s will have said, oh, yeah, I used to love Wattpad and reading those stories about how the mafia gangster man, like, was nice to me and dated me or whatever. It used to be like a big thing with the ladies. Trust me. You can ask like any
Hmm.
girl from like 2011 to now, and they've been involved in book talk, or like that's what they call it on TikTok. But like, I don't know, like Wattpad, like reading
Right.
books that were like, you know, about guys or whatever. And basically, the reason this makes me mad, the reason I gave the context for that is they have now taken those exact men that they used to say they loved and fantasized about in those books and said, you're toxic masculinity. And I think that by them promoting toxic masculinity, meaning like saying that it's a bad thing to be a man, essentially, that has caused men to be like, oh, I don't want to be a toxic masculine. Like I don't want to be have any of the toxic masculinity. So
Yeah.
I'm more feminine. So I think it's kind of like both parties kind of fault because in one sense I feel like men are trying to do what women are saying they want, but at the same time if the men would just stand up and be like, this is stupid,
Hmm.
we're not going to do this, then there would
Yeah.
also be a stop right there.
Yeah. Yeah, but men are becoming cowards. Like, why do you think that is? Like, it's definitely the narrative for sure that's being pushed. Like, toxic masculinity. That's so crazy. What a crazy term. So, if you go to the gym, if you like act kind of like a man, you're toxically masculine. That's crazy. Like
Yeah,
Andrew Tate's toxic masculinity. How? Like he just
I,
provides for his woman. He provides for his family. How's that? That's traditional masculinity,
mhm.
not toxic masculinity.
And I think another reason too is just people not being able to maybe, like in a sense I feel like maybe they're becoming more feminine because they can't be as cool as like Andrew and Tristan. In a sense
Yeah.
they can't get their shit together, so it's easier for them to just be, oh hey, like we pay half, like we're a double income household kind of thing, rather than going out, being the man you need to be and getting shit done. So I also think that there's a
I'll
lack of
lock in.
discipline, because if you think about it, like whether you believe in Christianity, I know that you've spoken on Islam,
Yeah.
whether you're Catholic, Orthodox Christian, whatever route, Baptist, whatever route you want to go, there's kind of like those basic morals that lie in all of them. And all of those teach discipline and morality and all of those. And since there's been such a decrease in any kind of believing in a higher power, no matter what religion that is, I think that has also taken away the main morals and principles that people grew up learning. Is like, I feel like people don't have discipline at all anymore, which
Yeah.
also affects their determination, because if you have no discipline, you can't really get determined, because you're not, I don't know how to say, but like you're not putting the steps you need to even get excited enough to go over here. I don't know if
Mhm. Yeah, and people can't see like where they want to go. Like they can't map that out in their mind. So
that.
yeah, no, a lot of things lacking in the society for sure. But I feel like it's kind of like a common thing to just sit and like complain about like society. You
Yeah.
have to be the change that you want to see. And like I
Yeah.
mentioned, like you're doing great at that.
Thank
I
you.
feel like a lot of girls, they just need to look at you and be like, hey, Kaylee Guerrero, she's on her stuff. She's locked in, Maybe instead of dyeing my hair blue, I should listen to this girl. Listen to Candace Owens. But
Yeah.
no, I love Candace Owens. She's great. She's
Yeah.
really
Me too.
good. Yeah,
Me too.
for sure. All right, I got some more questions down here. This is a W pod so far. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about religion, because you mentioned that. Yeah, I've been talking about Islam a little bit. Kind of makes sense that Jesus is just like a prophet from God, but then
Mhm.
people misconstrued it and worship Jesus. Because like when Jesus was on the cross and he was praying, right? And he was
Mhm.
saying, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they did." Who was he praying to? That's kind of my question.
Yeah.
Right.
So, going into religion a little bit, I think I have a little bit of a different viewpoint, because originally I was born and raised Catholic. My family is like, my mom's side is Irish, my dad's side is Mexican. And so my family being like Irish and from New York on my mom's side, like typically like Roman Catholic. So I'd grown up in a Catholic church. I was baptized Catholic. And then from first grade to 12th grade, I literally went to a Christian school where I learned church history, ethics and philosophy, studied theology. So I have studied church history.
Hmm.
And it's actually crazy, because I know this might be more of like a controversial view, especially as a conservative. But after having studied Christianity and also studied Catholicism for so long, I actually kind of believe more in a universal kind of religion, a spirituality in a sense.
Yeah.
Because I think that as long as you're believing in a higher power, like,
Mhm.
and you are following some level of principles and discipline, that you are going to feel more connected. You're going to feel more driven, because you believe in something higher than yourself. You're not self centered. You're not looking in, you're looking out, you know?
I
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you're okay. I guess I just kind of wanted to say that, because I know we're talking about the topic of religion, and although
Mhm.
I studied a lot of theology, both Christian and Catholic, I know that they're kind of like pretty similar, but also have some major differences as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of been my conclusion overall, is that I kind of take principles from a little bit of both, and I think Andrew and Tristan are a great example of that, because they're brothers, and one is Christian, right, and the other is Islamic, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Andrew's a Muslim. It's crazy how you could see them, like Christians and Muslims, so like at each other's throats. It's like you guys have the same kind of morals. Like I used to be Christian, then I looked into Islam. Now I don't even really know what I am. But
Mhm.
when I looked into Islam, I'm like, they kind of have the same morals as Christians. So I don't
Mhm.
understand why some Christians or some Muslims like fight so much. Like we're basically on the same side. Like if you were
Mhm.
on the side of God, you're on the side of God. And this
Yeah.
world is trying to get you to go away from God. Like this world is against God. So if you're
Mhm.
on the side of God, we're kind of on the same team. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter what God you believe in or how you perceive God. We're kind of like fighting the same battle in a sense.
100%. And I think a really cool way to look at it is, I've always said, like, say you have a circle right here, and this is God, and you look here, and this is Jesus, this is Allah, this is, you know, Ra, the sun god, even if you want to go over there. You know, I'm just choosing
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but it's like, if God is here, no matter how you have to get to it in order to believe in something higher, then that's what you have to do. And I think that everybody, depending on their location and how they were raised, might find more of comfort in certain disciplines and morals that other religions may teach.
Mhm. Yeah. I saw there's somebody that like studied all religion, like he just like went away like a monk and he studied every single religion and he found out at the end, at the core of every single religion is kind of like similar. Like every
Mhm.
single one, you break down every religion is kind of like the same morals, like do good, live a righteous life. That's kind of like the basis of all religion.
Yes, and it was so funny you bring that up because I was literally just talking about that earlier today. Is that I feel like a lot of people get too hung up on which religion is right, and you know, am I picking the right religion to go to heaven? If I
Mm.
studied this religion, am I going to go to hell? And I think that the moral principle of it all is exactly as you said. You know, getting to God and being on that same side of the team, no matter how you have to get there. And yeah, I think that's really cool that you pointed that out, especially from somebody that's gone and studied all those religions. As somebody that's only studied like 2 to 3, you know, I can't speak on it as highly or as like educated as somebody that has studied all of them. And I think that's
Right.
really cool.
For sure. Yeah, and like somebody says, Borcon says, not all Christians and Muslims. I have both a Christian and Muslim wife. We are on the same team, even good Jews and good people of all faiths. Borcon was saying something about like having like 3 wives in there too. Yeah, there is like a thing in Islam. It's like you can have multiple wives. I don't really know. What do you think about that? I don't know about that. I feel like my love would have to be like exclusive for one girl. Like I don't think I'd be able to love like 3 or 4 girls the same as I could like love one. Like I want to be exclusive, but
I think there's a couple different perspectives on this. I
mm,
think we've all heard Andrew and Tristan speak about how you can't really necessarily be somebody that is of like, I hate to say this, but like lower class and trying to have multiple wives, because at the end of the day you can't take care of them all, and you also have no way to give them all of your time and love. And I think that depending on your situation, you know, like obviously like Tristan and Andrew can provide for all the women that they may eventually keep, like I don't want to say get married to, but like kind of like are having their children in a sense. They're able to maintain that and they're able to take care of all those women. So I think
right,
it kind of comes into a weird situation because obviously, you know, a traditional view is one man and one woman. But at the same time, if your main goal as a man is to have as many children as you possibly can, then I also understand why you would have more than one wife. Because obviously, one wife can't get you as many children as fast as having more than one wife.
right,
So I think it really is up to the person and up to the situation. Because I would love to sit here and say that I hope I find my true love and it's one and done and that's that. But if I also came into a situation where there was a guy, like say, I'm just using them as example, like Andrew or Tristan, that came
yeah,
into my life and was like, hey, yeah, so and so had one of my babies. Would you like to be one of the mothers of the other baby? You know what I
uh,
mean? I can't say that I would necessarily disagree with that
yeah.
because
You'd say yes to that.
I would only because
It's
I
Andrew, Tristan, Tate.
well, no, 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 no. I was using them as an example. I know there's a lot of men that fall under that category. I just actually don't know of any other influencer that promotes that or like speaks about it. So since you brought them up, I wanted to use them. However, damn it, I lost my point. Um, oh yeah, like for me, having had a stepbrother and my for anybody wondering on the podcast, my other 2 sisters were all connected by my father, but I have a different mother than my other 2 sisters. So my mom's not Vicky. I'm saying that here on the pod to end
No.
all the questions. But I think that after having a stepbrother and seeing the kind of familial bond we had, and then my 2 half sisters, having had a relationship with them too at a point, um, also showed me kind of just how powerful family can really be. And I think that's why my mind has kind of become more tolerant or more lenient to the multiple wife theory because I'm somebody that can't wait to make new traditions and can't wait to host holidays and can't wait to be the one to be like, okay, everybody come over, I'm doing Thanksgiving.
Mm.
So I wouldn't mind if there was another, because like any child that came from my husband, even if it's from another woman, I'm gonna love them as though they're mine because they came
Right.
from somebody I love. And I think that it would be awesome to be able to have that many children and family all surrounding each other as well. So I think that that's also, something that is not a bad thing, I guess, because like I said, I can't say for myself because I'm very single at the moment. So
Yeah.
I'm even in a predicament to be making decisions like that. But I definitely don't find anything wrong with it in that sense.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I see that too. They say like men have like a natural desire for like multiple women, like it's just like hardwired into us. I don't know about that. I mean, like I'm a teenager, so obviously I'm into like a whole bunch of girls, so I gotta like control that. But I feel like once I like hunker down, my testosterone goes down as I get older. I feel like I will be able to just like love one exclusively. But holy BoardCon, $40 says wifer at 30, get a second one, and third at 40. Oh my god, bro. BoardCon. Appreciate the 40 though, bro. Thank you very much. $40 super chat. It's insane. But yeah, I completely just forgot what I just said. I appreciate the donation though. Thank you.
No, you're okay. I'm glad that your chat is doing well.
For sure. These are some good people. I like to think I have the best audience on the entire internet. I got some of the best people here, so
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited to be a part of the podcast then.
of course, of course. Do you have any cool stories with Eddie Guerrero with your dad?
Well, obviously I was pretty young when he died. I
Right.
was 3. However, there
Oh
is
yeah.
this one story that I do actually remember wholeheartedly that I find really funny. So basically, it couldn't have been long before my dad died for me to have the memory. But as you know, people of his stature going into like a Walmart or something is kind of like a madhouse.
Yeah.
So when my mom and him would go on dates, they would typically like wear sunglasses and a hat and like kind of just like try to lay low so that they didn't get bombarded. So my father had me and my 2 other sisters in Walmart, and he had like a hat and glasses and all this stuff. And my sisters were kind of like messing around and like had me in the cart as I'm the youngest, and they were like just being really stupid and flipped me over in the cart. And I don't know why I find it so funny, but I can still remember my dad being like, "Are you serious? Did you really just flip her out of the cart in the middle of Walmart right now?" And then like of course we had to leave right away because then people were like, "Oh my god, Eddie!" And
Really.
so yeah, but I found
Everybody's like coming up and like recognize him from the voice, I guess.
well that, and I'm pretty sure he like took his glasses off to like look at the girls and be like, "Are you serious?"
Oh my gosh. That's a
So
W story.
I don't know why, but I find that so funny. That's my own personal story. Now, stories that deal with my dad that I was not there for, I definitely have as well. But my own personal story, that's one of my
Mhm.
favorites.
Yeah, that's so funny. I guess he was at the point where like you can't really go in public without everybody like knowing who he is.
Yeah, actually, when my mom first started dating my dad, she had no idea who he was. She never watched wrestling. When he told her that he was a wrestler, she was embarrassed, thinking that he was
Seriously?
like, no, literally thought he was like, oh, I wrestle at the local gym kind of wrestler.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So him and her went to Ybor City in Tampa, Florida, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" And she was like, "I don't know. Let's do something fun." And he was like, "Do you want to go see a movie?" And she's like, "That's boring." And he was like, "Okay, so what do you want to do?" And she was like, "I really want to go to Dave and Buster's." So, oh my dog, sorry. So they went to Dave and Buster's, and as they pulled up in the car, everybody started like pounding on the car, being like, "Eddie, Eddie, Eddie." And at this
Mhm.
time, my mom still had like no idea who he was. So she was freaking out, and she's like, "What's happening? Who are you? Are you in trouble? What's
Yeah.
going on?" And it was at that moment that my dad actually looked at my mom and was like, "Oh, you really don't know who I am." And in a sense, it kind of made him really happy because he knew that like her love for him was 100% real. But at the same time, he was also like, "Oh, geez, like she probably thinks I'm crazy right now." So,
Yeah. That's wholesome though. Like that's how you know it's authentic, you
mhm.
know? That's really wholesome. What do you think about numerology? Because when I announced I'm having you on the podcast, somebody like DM me like, "Oh, did you know Eddie Guerrero was a 33 life path, which is like the most influential number?" Do you know about like all that, like the day that you're born and like numerology and stuff? I'm like
So
deep in the rabbit hole.
So I actually do know a bit about numerology.
Oh,
My mom has been a little bit involved in numerology my whole life. I am born on the 12th. I don't know what that would mean.
means that you
Um,
like to speak. You're a good talker,
I
and you've like youthful energy too, because you got that 3 energy in you.
am, but yeah. So I know a little bit about numerology, and I'd kind of found like reoccurring numbers happening in my life a lot. And then when I would look up those reoccurring numbers, I don't know if it's by coincidence or maybe there really is something to it. I would look those numbers up, and often they really would correlate what was going on in my life. And that was at the moment where I'm like, okay, I think I do believe in this, because there's no way I'm seeing reoccurring numbers that I've never seen before all the time that just happen to pertain to my life situation.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I can't go a single day without seeing like 111 or 1111. Like
Mhm.
everywhere I go, I see it everywhere. It's insane. I guess I'm coughing. I'm like mid sentence, I just start coughing. That's been terrible. But yeah, no,
Do you,
I'll see 1111 everywhere. It's insane.
do you make a wish on 11/11?
I don't make a wish because like, who are you making the wish to? You know,
I don't know, the universal wavelength.
you're kind of more like spiritual. Like you probably got into like a meditation like phase and
Yeah.
like a grounding. Take your shoes and socks off and like walk in the grass kind of thing. Yeah, I've been into all that too. Do you know who Spiritual So is?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay, he's like the guy that got me kind of spiritual in the first place. He's a YouTuber. I think I was like 10 or 11, maybe 12 when I started watching him, but he's kind of like the OG of the spiritual space in a sense. He's a
That's really
legend.
cool, though. It's awesome that other influencers have been able to expand your idea on religion and spirituality. Because
Mm,
whether you're looking into Christianity, spirituality, Islam, it's all something that's only going to excel your mind further and actually benefit you in the long run. So it's really cool that there's been influencers that have quite literally influenced you, in a sense,
exactly.
to look into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you can go kind of too far down the rabbit hole then, though, where
Mhm.
like it affects your life. Like you could like think about it too intensely and then like not have fun. Like me being a teenager, like I want to of course go to parties and have fun.
Mhm.
But like if I'm like hardcore Muslim, that means like I can't really drink, which I shouldn't really do anyways. But like it's a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, and you know, like I shouldn't be doing it. I know I shouldn't be doing it, but yeah, I feel like if you go like super duper far, like into the spiritual rabbit hole, it could kind of suck out like a little bit of enjoyment in like certain areas. Which like maybe that's for the better, like maybe that's for the best. Maybe I shouldn't be doing these like crazy things, going to parties and stuff. But at the same time, you got to live too.
Let me tell you this, though. I do have to say, from also being a young person, even at your age and dabbling in the drinking world and stuff, that I definitely found that I was more spiritual and definitely more intuitive in a sense, however you want to perceive the word intuitive, but more intuitive to my surroundings when I was not dabbling or even partying. And I actually don't party, even though I'm past 21. I don't think I've had a sip of alcohol in over a year.
Wow.
But I really do have to say that I think obviously you're young, you're gonna dabble, you're gonna
Yeah.
have fun, but at the same time, just be careful, because sometimes it's in those moments that we choose to dabble and we're not 100% in control of our mind and 100% in control of our actions, that life does show us, like, okay, you want to not be in control, let me show you what I can do right now.
Yeah. I've had the same thing like when I've dabbled with weed, like I feel like completely out of control. Like my thoughts are like so crazy. It's like in psychology they talk about like your shadow self, right? I feel like it's
Mhm.
like my shadow thoughts when I'm high, but I can't like determine it. Like it's just like so crazy. It's like such a vast like world of like
Mhm.
knowledge. And I swear I'd be like recalling like things from like past lives. It's like I can't even explain it. But I don't smoke weed. I'm very against that. I feel like there's something like demonic against like weed. Like personally, I just never really liked it, to be honest.
Mhm.
It's been crazy experiences though. Like I swear, I'm like thinking, like I'll see somebody at the bus stop. I'm like thinking, and I can like feel what they're feeling. I like know their life story
Like an
somehow.
empath, kind of.
Yeah, like I'm imagining that like somebody looks depressed. I'm like imagining what just happened to them that day, like how their life feels like a certain way. I can't even explain it.
Could you imagine if you were right though? Have you ever like decided to go up to somebody and be like, "I'm just curious, did this happen to you today?"
Yeah, I don't know. It's that 33 energy, I guess.
At 33.
Borcon. Yo, we just got another 25. Borcon, thank you. Jeez. The only numbers that matter are money. Oh my gosh. You can make to support your harem. Believe in Allah, Jesus, Apple, Samsung, Linux, whatever you believe in. Stay hard and thirsty. Stay hard and thirsty till the day you die. Appreciate the 25, Borcon. Thank you.
Some great advice.
Appreciate it.
No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, have you had some crazy like experiences like that too? Like whenever I'm not sure if you've ever smoked weed or not. If you haven't, you shouldn't, but
So I definitely have back in my high school days. And I would say that although it's not something I do often or really at all anymore, that I definitely just felt more spiritual in a sense. Like I don't know if that's the right thing to say because obviously I don't want to go promoting weed
right.
or thing, but I definitely felt more spiritual, and I don't know if that's because I tend to overthink a lot and I tend to always see I'm very strategic. I don't know if it's because I started playing chess a lot or whatnot, but I tend to kind of always think about every single thing that could happen around me, whether that's like, okay, if I do this, what's going to be the consequence? What is that consequence going to lead to? Or if I do this, where is it going to lead me? And what's that going to do? Like, I'm always looking at the domino effect of it all.
Mhm.
And so I do have to say, I think when I smoked, I was able to really relax and kind of just tap into my spirituality in a sense. So on my personal experience, I can't knock it. However, I do know some people who have either started smoking it all the time and kind of just turned into a couch potato, and then other people who it's really benefited health wise as well. So I think it's kind of one of those things you have to weigh out for a personal experience.
Yeah. I mean, it also could cause schizophrenia too. Which what do
Really.
you this is a good question. What do you think schizophrenia is? Like when you hear voices, do you think that's just you being insane or do you think there's something spiritual to that too?
Well, okay, I actually did you happen to ask me this question based off a video that I saw recently of somebody being like, what's the like, okay, if I was sitting here right now saying to you, the aliens are telling me to go outside and worship right now, you'd be like, okay, schizo, let's get you to the hospital.
Right,
But
right.
I told you, hey, the Lord is moving me right now. He is telling me to get down and pray for you right now. Like, how's that person not schizo? And so schizophrenic. So I kind of saw a video about that recently where like somebody used those two analogies, and I was curious if that's why you asked me.
Yeah, no. That's not the reason that I asked you, but that's a really good point that that video makes. Like, because people always say that, like, the Lord has put it on me to pray for you or do this or whatever. Like, what is the? I feel like it's such a fine line. Like, what is schizo and what's just like maybe you're actually tapped in with something.
I know I hate to go down the rabbit hole, but the more I look into the Matrix and listen to Alex Jones and everybody that has kind of in this little canceled circle of
Mm.
us all, sometimes I do have to think, like, as you said about past lives and stuff like that. I don't want to go sounding kooky or anything like that, but it definitely makes me wonder because like energy can never be created nor destroyed. So what are those things that we're hearing? Are they a message from our ancestor? Are they a message from somebody in our past life? I guess that's kind of one of those things that are outside of time and space, so kind of we don't get to know.
I like even right now. I just looked at my Twitter, like my viewer counts up here. It says 444, 444.
We
Like
have that many
I see
people
these numbers
filling out.
everywhere. That's on Twitter, so I think that's like a cumulative, but still, like 444. I can't escape these numbers. Like
As we're talking
so-
about numerology.
something's after me. Something's trying to get my attention. I don't even know. Frosty rocks.
I'm so
What?
sorry.
This chill. Frosty, I appreciate the 3. Says hit those thumbs up, everyone. Yeah, guys, if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube or Twitter, anywhere, go smash that like button for sure. I appreciate the dono. She's dealing with her dog right now, chat.
Sorry, one second.
What is your oh yeah, you're good. What is your Twitter? Tyson Hockley on Twitter. Same profile and everything. Guys, how's my lighting? I kind of look like a ghost, don't I? I kind of look like a ghost right now. Okay,
Okay,
she's back.
we should be good. I'm sorry about that.
Perfect. What were we just talking about? Like spirituality and kind of like diving deep into the matrix.
Yeah, kinda. I think, oh, numerology and the fact your view count said 444.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. I definitely have to say it's funny. I've been seeing 555 a lot lately, so I can say like I don't know if that's a coincidence or maybe
That
just
means
my
change is
algorithm
coming. That means
does.
change is coming to your life and like travel, because 5 is the number of like travel and stuff.
Oh, that's crazy because I'm actually supposed to travel in the spring for work. So
Doesn't miss. This stuff does
that's
not
it.
miss. What do you think about the Matrix? Like, do you, because Andrew and Tristan always say that we're in the Matrix. Do you believe in the Matrix, and do you believe that we are like stuck in it, and there's people that are like higher above keeping us like in a system?
I kind of do, to be honest. I think the thing that gets me is I've kind of realized with every problem in my life, if you know the equation to it, um, you'll be okay in a sense. And what I mean by that is normally I feel like almost like similar to an algorithm, there is typically some kind of equation or some kind of system you can set up in order for things to go right in a sense. And so that leads me to believe if you can create equation for I call it an equation for most problems in life, are we an algorithm? And
Mm.
then it leads me back to my science roots looking at CRISPR, which is a form of genetic engineering, which bases its genetic engineering on I believe it's called the Cas9 cell, which actually acts as a photocopy, almost like copy and paste cell, where when they go to genetically engineer people or the cells, the mRNA, they will take the Cas9 cell and they will manipulate it in a sense. Like I saw some kind of experiment where they took the Cas9 cell of the double helix and they filled it in for whatever the missing part was in sickle cell anemia and replaced it with the right cell structure in the Cas9 cell. And it photocopied the rest of the genetic sequence in order to cure the person with sickle cell anemia. And when I think all the way down to the double helix and the coding that goes into gene cell and biological engineering, it kind of reminds me of code. And then that kind of reminds me that everything we're looking at is matter. And is matter really what we're seeing in front of us, or is it just vibrating at a certain frequency to where we can touch it? So I think that I
It's
tend to
insane.
go really, really, really far down the rabbit hole with some of this stuff. So I don't want to go and black pill anyone.
Yeah, no, it gets insane. I see we got GG33 in here. How's it going? Do you know about GG33? That's kind of like the main numerologist is Gary, the numbers guy. I had him on the podcast like a couple weeks ago. He's like the main. He's kind of like the most prominent numerologist. Do you know him?
So I hadn't known him before your podcast, but before coming on here, I kind of started a couple of your podcasts to like
Oh yeah.
make sure I had everything I needed for today. And I'd seen a lot of your little clips that have been like edited or whatnot from that, and I had watched those. So that's pretty much my knowledge on the GG33. Is that his
Mhm.
name? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just
Well,
making
that's
sure.
the name of like his kind of like brand, but his name's Gary. Gary, the numbers guy.
That's really cool though. I did really, really like what he had to say on your podcast though. I really enjoyed the clips as well. And it's something that I actually planned after today's podcast to go back and watch the full version of.
Yeah. It's 3 hours. He gave me like a long time. After we're done, he's like, "Wow, you really used me like I'm not gonna say it, but you really used me like a." And then a girl that's has no self respect. That's a word he used. I'm not gonna say because we're on YouTube and it's a bad word. But no, as soon as the camera was off and we weren't live, he's like, "Yeah, you really used me like a girl with no self respect." But dude, W Gary, like we're actually enemy signs. Me and him are enemy signs, but he still gave me 3 hours of his time, so I got nothing but respect for the guy. Do you know
Are
about
you
that too? Like
like
enemy
the
signs?
horoscope?
Yeah, yeah. So he's born the year of the snake. I'm born in the year of the pig. The pig and the snake are enemy signs.
Oh, okay. So I'm not as familiar with the year, but I do know my sign. Speaking of which, what is your sign since we've been talking about this all?
I'm born in the year of the pig, so next year is my enemy year.
Your enemy year. Okay. All I can say is I'm a Libra, but that's all I know.
What year are you born in? I'll do it right now. I'll Google it.
My birthday is October 12th, 2002.
2002 Chinese zodiac. Born the year of the horse. So I think 2026 is the next horse year. So that's gonna be a good it's gonna be a good year for you. You're gonna
And
blow up.
And funny enough, my father's birthday is October 9th, and my sister's birthday is October 14th. So we're
Oh,
all
that's
really
my birthday, October 14th.
really.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no, October is I feel like all the best people are born in October.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree to that one.
No, I have a lot of friends. I don't know why it's so common. Like I have a ton of friends born in October too.
Me too. Me too.
I
I
don't
actually
know.
like three to like no, all my cousins too. Like 7 people born in October.
What is it with October?
I don't know. We're just the best around. What can I say?
Yeah. GG33 is here. Is GG33, is that actually Gary or is that an affiliate account? I don't know if this is Gary in my chat or not. Says numbers doesn't exist in this world. It's the brain. GG33 figured out the energy / meaning behind those numbers. Yeah, that's the thing too, is like the numbers are kind of like the language of God. So that's kind of like how God communicates with you, because we're all kind of like dogs if you think about it. And God's like a human. Human can't like actually talk to dogs and like say stuff. You can just like nudge the dogs in like a certain way
Mhm.
and like say things, but the dog can't actually understand it. So maybe the numbers are just like the little nudge from God, because God can't actually speak to us because the frequency is on is like way different. I guess if that makes sense.
In a sense, that could be potentially why they're called angel numbers as well, because
Yeah.
they are like an angelic sign, potentially.
Yeah. No, it's true. Fry TV put in a thing like a little bit. We could just rename this podcast just conspiracy theory rabbit holes, because Fry was asking me about what do you think about the flat Earth theory?
Ooh. Okay, so that's difficult for me because of course as a science girl I want to be like, okay, it's round, but as far as like I've listened to a lot of the flat earth theorists and I do have to say they make some really good points. I don't know if I would say that the earth is literally like this or literally like that. However, I do kind of believe more the dome theory, which if you look at the structure of the Garden of Eden, is actually very similar to the flat earth dome theory as well, as far as kind of the structure and the setup of it all. And when Elon Musk was actually asked about, he said flat-ish. So
Really?
I literally saw the tweet earlier
Wait, is
and
that serious?
well, my mom is subscribed to Elon. Like she really loves Elon. So I saw the post and I asked her, I said, is this real? Did he really post this? And she was like, yeah, no, he posted that a while ago. And I'll literally have it. I can send it to you after we get off. But it's something like, is the earth like round or maybe he said roundish, flattish. He said like, so he didn't say round, but he didn't say flat. So that's why my theory is dome theory. Because I feel like if anybody's going to know what the universe, the world looks like, it's going to be Elon.
Maybe he's just clip farming though. Maybe he just said that to clip farm.
Yeah.
If he's not like agreeing with it being round or flat, he's probably just clip farming.
Yeah. That's true.
GG33 says Earth is not flat. I mean, it says in the Bible that there's like a firmament around the Earth, and that's what flat Earthers believe, right? The dome.
Mm-hmm.
They did a thing where they sent nukes into outer space, Operation like Fish Dome. Why would they do that? Maybe they're trying to send the nukes into the sky to break open the firmament. That's a
Yeah.
theory. Because why
I've
else would
actually
they send nukes to the sky?
I actually always thought that as well. It's always kind of been a little conspiracy theory of my own. Is that like what if they're trying to break the atmosphere or the firmament, my bad. My Invisalign, catch me off guard. But but yeah, no, it's actually funny too because I was also looking at typically like if especially with the spaceships, if they're supposedly going out of the earth, right? And the earth is round and they're here, shouldn't they just be going like this? But they're always at some kind of angle. So that's another reason that kind of thought in my or made me think in my head that there's a potential that dome theory or flat earth theory could potentially be real. I
Mhm.
see a lot of good evidence. Oh my goodness. I see a lot of good evidence for both. So it's kind of difficult for me to fully decide on that one.
Yeah. And also the thing about like water always finds its level, right? Like no matter what you do, water always finds the level. So how
Mhm.
could water curve around a ball? And now I don't want to say too much because they're gonna clip this and be like Tyson Hawking's a flat earther. So
Oh
guys,
yeah. And then
everybody
they're
who's
gonna
clipping
clip
this, I'm not a
me.
flat earther. Then they're gonna clip you and you're gonna be like the associate of the crazy flat
No,
earth
are you
kid.
kidding me? I've been clips or not clip, but so much of my things, like if you go and you type in like Eddie Guerrero's daughter and go to like latest, it's all people being like, dude, she likes Alex Jones. We got a MAGA Trumpy over here.
Oh my
So
god.
so trust me, I know for a fact that there's gonna be something pulled from here that's like, no, Eddie Guerrero's daughter is so crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they're gonna take clips of this for sure.
I'm
for
prepared for it
sure.
though. I am.
Um, you've not said anything wrong though in this podcast. Like everything that you said is just based. And if you disagree with Kaylee Guerrero here, maybe you're the one that's just cooked. You know, maybe you're the one that's cooked if you disagree with this podcast because this podcast has been nothing but based facts.
Yeah, I've been having so much fun because I had been laying low in X for so long. I've actually been on here a year, and I used to just go in and listen to like the Bitcoin spaces or just like any kind of like crypto space and like hang out in there, kind of hear what everybody has to say, kind of just do my own thing. Some people knew, some people didn't. And I had typically always live streamed. I've been live streaming since I was 15.
Really?
Yeah, on Instagram and TikTok and all these different platforms. And then I was starting to get banned all the time anytime I said anything like slightly off the beaten path. So when I came to X, I just absolutely loved it. And then like one of the biggest like heartwarming things for me has been, obviously my sisters and I post every year on my dad's birthday or his death date, and we'll like make a little like public announcement, like say, hey, we know what day it is, and we love our dad, and like just say something along those lines. And typically a couple people will see it, like maybe our friends, like maybe 10K or something like that. But never did I expect to get like so many views on the video I had of my dad on X. And I was so shocked that typically anytime I've had a video like go viral anywhere else, I'll just like have like half haters and then half like really nice people. And on X, although I keep joking about my haters because I honestly think it's so hysterical, I was very fortunate. I maybe got like 7 people out of like 3.5 million hating on me, but the majority of those people were so kind to me, and that's something I'm incredibly grateful for, not only to the people but to X for allowing people to speak their mind. And everybody may not agree with me, and some people even said, hey, I don't agree with your beliefs, but everybody's like man enough or woman enough to to come on here sorry, come on here and be like, hey, like we're here to vibe and we like you, and that's been really heartwarming for me. So I just thought I'd say that as well.
For sure. 3.5 million views? That's crazy.
I like
Especially
what
for
I
Twitter.
said.
Are you on any other platforms or just X at the moment?
I'm on TikTok. I don't use it. I actually, as soon as I started hanging out on X over the last couple months, I kind of left all my other platforms. I keep up to date with Instagram just for my family that follow me on there. They always want to know what I'm doing. So like I'll post to my story normally, but really I'd say I barely use TikTok after on election night here in America. I posted a funny video about Trump winning the election and they like took it off the For You page. I decided that I was done with TikTok and never went back, although that's where the majority of my followers are at and the majority of like my viral videos. So I've never gone back to TikTok. And then Facebook is just for family. And then
Yeah.
yeah, literally like I don't let anybody follow me on there. It's just my family. And then yeah, just Instagram every now and then, but mostly X now.
Yeah, I hate TikTok. Like X is all you really need, except for TikTok's important when it comes to like reaching the masses. Like you should take clips of this and put it on TikTok. I'll probably do the same because TikTok can be a tool when you leverage it, but it is still kind of like owned by communists, so I don't mess with it.
Yeah, same. And it's so weird too because so many people are just so sensitive on there. I just can't take it. Because the same way I kind of like I like to troll every now and then. Like I'm typically I'm nice to a fault, but sometimes I'll like see something on X and just feel the need to be like a little bit sassy, give a little bit of that Latina heat. But on TikTok, your account will get taken so fast if you even give just like a little bit of anything.
Oh, I know it's crazy. You can't say anything. Here's a good comment here. It says horses dislike fat people. Is that true? Because you're a horse. Do you dislike fat people?
No, no, I used to be a chubby little Latina myself, so I can't say
Oh my
anything.
gosh.
I feel like if I sat here, I was like, I hate fat people. People would like pull like little chunky pictures of me from when I was a little girl and be like, oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. That's funny though, because you can see like this is a good example. Like sometimes this stuff does miss. And like Trump was in his enemy year when he like this year, he's in his enemy year and he became president in his enemy year. So there is times where this stuff's like not super accurate, but it's a fun rabbit hole to go down to. I was texting somebody last night. He's like, yo, like just like stop thinking about this number stuff. Like it's clouding your mind. I'm like, yeah, but it's fun, and I'm a 33, so I'm interested, but I don't know. It's definitely a rabbit hole for sure. So is
Yeah.
like everything though. Like Alex Jones being a conservative is a rabbit hole in itself. Because to
Mhm.
be conservative, you have to be kind of like conspiracy minded in a sense, you
Yeah.
know. So
I think somebody had just commented the other day on one of my videos, like, "Oh, be careful posting about Alex Jones. He thinks, frogs are gay." And I'm like, I actually believe him. I do. Not that frogs are gay necessarily, but that like the whatever bioengineering they have had or whatever chemical that has like leaked on them is definitely creating some sort of what was called estrogen in our water supply.
yeah, they're turning the freaking frogs gay.
And
They are.
oh, you want to go down a whole nother conspiracy? If I can get somebody here on X to help me with this little venture, we might get some pretty cool conspiracy things. But my grandfather was a huge, not gory, not my dad's side, but my mom's side, huge like observer, like hacker, like back when computers would take forever kind of hacker. Like just like so deep in the rabbit hole, always watching Alex Jones. And he has a couple tapes that we found like hidden and like set off to the side that are labeled Alex Jones, like 19 whatever they are on the what's called the VHS. So if I can get a VHS player or find somebody that knows how to do it without messing them up, I could probably pull like a really old Alex Jones video right now that's probably has something that's pertaining to right now.
Yeah, no, he's he's got a lot of gems. Do you see that they're like buying out his company though? Like they're getting rid of InfoWars or something. What do you think about that?
I'm mad. Oh, sorry, my ring light is falling. I told Tyson before I got on, guys, we had a little incident with my dog, and this is currently duct taped at the moment because my ring light snapped in half 5 minutes before we went on here. Um,
Perfect timing.
perfect timing, universal timing. What can I say? Everything happens for a reason. But yeah, I'm mad about that because I like InfoWars and I'm just like, come on. Like, what else am I supposed to watch? So now I'm just down to emergency meetings and random podcasts and Candace. Like InfoWars is like my fourth or fifth other option in the mix of channels I watch. So I'm a little upset about that, especially because I think that he brings so much awareness to so many different people that I think it's a disservice to take his platform, not platform, but like his main
Yeah.
show down.
Mhm.
So I'm not happy about that. And I hope that there's something he can do to keep it. I do know that he said something along the lines that he was willing to fight for his channel. So
He needs to.
I know. I think that a lot of these men in power, whether it be Alex Jones, Trump, Elon, you want to take the Tate brothers, for example, I think that they are all very strategic. And I think that at any point, sometimes the people that watch them or view them are meant to think a certain thing so that they can put something else in play to get done what they need to, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, it kind of does for sure. They're definitely well thought out. Do you follow the Tates on Rumble like ever since they got canceled everywhere? I guess it's the only place that they stream.
Oh yeah, I'm not afraid to admit it. Ever since my mom showed me emergency meetings, I freaking think they're so funny. I can't get over it. They crack me up. I can't lie. Like going and sitting in the emergency meetings in the morning cuz like they're in Romania time. So typically like their emergency meeting is like my morning. And yeah, I think they're hilarious. They're definitely a good watch. Oh my god, my brain it's like slowly falling. But yeah, no, I think they're really funny, but despite the humor part of it all, I think they're also really insightful overall. I think that as I said prior, that whether it's something that Andrew says or something that Tristan says, that their perspective on whatever they're talking about is enough to whether you like them or dislike them, to make your mind think. And at the end of the day, that's the best kind of influencer and the best kind of show you can watch is planting those seeds. That's something they're very good at doing. Like I remember specifically seeing an emergency meeting the other day. It popped up on Rumble. I was like, okay, perfect. I'll put this on. And they were talking about how either you learn AI or become a slave to AI. So I'm not even kidding you. I bought the real world for 1 month and I went in there and I went into the AI automation agency and I made a freaking AI bot because I was like,
Really?
I'm not screwing around. I'm not going to be enslaved by AI. So I got my little AI. I've named it Sleeper Cell. We'll see how it does.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, no, I'm trying to get both the Tates on my podcast. Tristan told me once I reach 100,000 followers on Rumble, he'll do it. What do you think about that? 100K on Rumble. That's a pretty ambitious goal.
I think it's very ambitious. Oh,
Oh, where'd she go?
oh my god, we're having some technical
Oh, what?
difficulties with my light, and I was trying to
What?
fix it. And I'm just gonna hold the phone for right now. I'm gonna hold you up. I actually saw that, and that is why I followed you on Rumble. I don't know. I used like my burner account, and I followed you on Rumble after I saw that because I'm so upset that it has to. Well, not so upset. I get they're trying to challenge you and make you really go for this ambitious goal. But like, if it was on X, I could see. But I think on Rumble, I have the most faith that you will do it. I do. I think you're a hustler. I think you'll get it done. However, I do think it's a very large goal to reach on Rumble because the platform is already like we know about the platform because we're conservative, we're on X. However, I feel like not everybody knows about Rumble, so it's a little bit more difficult to get your viewers on there.
Yeah, like even my friends, so I'm like, follow me on Rumble, and they're like, what the hell's Rumble? So I don't know. I don't know. It's like how can you live in this day and age and not know Rumble? Like that's a red flag. If I meet somebody that don't know what Rumble is, that's an instant red flag right there.
Good, fixed it.
Fix
But
it.
no,
We're
yeah,
back.
100%. Actually, you want to hear something funny? Before I start dating guys now, or go on a date, because like I said, like most guys when they try to date in their 20s are just looking to hook up. So if I find that out, goodbye. But when I actually am going on a date that's worth, I would say worth an F. I always ask the question, do you watch the Tates and do you like Alex Jones? Because if a man tells you that he doesn't like Andrew Tate and he doesn't like Tristan Tate and he doesn't like Alex Jones and Elon Musk sucks, they're typically gay. So
Yeah.
I
Facts.
so I always check with that because there's no way I'm gonna waste my time going on dates, like trying to find my husband, my person, just for them to be like, oh, I think that they're a little harsh. It's like, no, like we need more men that are willing to speak out. Like I just talked about this earlier today too, is I feel like they're taking down, and I know it's going to be controversial, but I'm bringing it up, is that like you saw what's happening to Conor McGregor recently. You saw what happened with the Tates. You saw the accusations put to Trump. You saw the accusations, this might be a little too American, but by Kavanaugh, like one of our other politicians. And not for anything, but oftentimes they're fake and they're misconstrued. And I think that those things are purposely happening recently, just like the pandemic did, to cause fear mongering. Because if you're seeing the most powerful men get taken down and dragged through the courts and having to deal with all of this stuff for months and months and months on end, then less men are going to be as brave, or less men are going to have that like courage to stand up and fight for what's right and take back what's been taken from us and make a difference, because they're watching everybody that does it get pushed into the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it's to ruin their reputation too. Like, oh, Andrew Tate's a sex trafficker. Now I even have friends that used to be Tate fans, but now they're not Tate fans because like, oh, he's a human trafficker. It's like, yeah, so they did this and they said these things about him just to ruin his reputation. So people are like, oh, I don't want to associate with the Tates. He's a human trafficker. That's the entire reason that they even did it. It was just to ruin his credibility.
Well, and the thing that really gets me about their story and that whole situation that makes me really infuriated for them is the fact that the girls that they were accusing of, or like that they were trying to say were the victims, literally came out and were like, hey, bro, we are not victims. Please stop. And they were literally trying to gaslight the women into thinking that they were victims, being like, no, you're a victim. And they're like, no, we're not. And then still tried to charge them on these absurd charges that obviously didn't work, right? Because I saw, but I wanted to make sure I was 100% right, that they are free, right? As long as everything goes well over the next week, right?
Yeah, I
I
think
swear to
so.
God.
Or like a lot of stuff is like getting dropped, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so inshallah the Tates are freed within the next week. Inshallah.
Mm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
God willing.
Our
Because they're
yeah, God willing.
but
For sure. That's what inshallah means. Do you know like Arabic a little? I became like addicted to speaking Arabic. Like my friend will be like, "Bro, like you're not even like a Muslim, but you just say like inshallah." I just love saying it. It's just like
No,
peaceful.
I actually don't know any Arabic, although I would do good to learn some because it's always a good thing to know a little bit of languages.
Hmm. Yeah, inshallah just means God willing. So inshallah, the tastes are freed.
Not me not knowing that and saying the same thing.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we've been going for an hour and 15, so I've kind of burned through a bunch of my questions. If there's anything else that you want to talk about, now is probably the time. But I think we could wrap it up pretty soon here. It's been a W convo. Everybody in the chat say W. This has been a really good podcast, and Kaylee, it's been great to meet you here too.
Thank you, thank you. I guess the last thing I want to say before I leave is, well, one, thank you for giving me the platform to come and speak my mind and come and share a little bit of myself with everybody. And two, I want to encourage you to keep doing this because I'll tell you, when I was your age and I was in high school, there were a lot of boys your age that were just reckless and crazy and not making those steps to better their life. And I see you doing that every day. And that's such an admirable quality. So please just keep doing that and keep working towards your goals because you will get there. And I believe that very soon or in the near future, if you keep busting ass, that I'm going to see Tristan or Andrew on your podcast. And I can't wait. So keep doing what you're doing.
Inshallah. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Kaylee. Inshallah. Okay, have a great day. Thank you so much for coming on. We should do a round two as well. The people love this, so
Yeah, I love doing podcasts, and I was also a little nervous this time. So I feel like I said,
seriously?
yeah,
Yeah, seem nervous.
Well, actually, I wanted to tell you this too, so I'll tell you before we get off, is that I got like a couple other offers to do podcasts, and I was like, no. I was like, Tyson seems so nice. He asked me, I'm going to do his first because I know that I'll feel better once I do one because I don't really do this. This is like my first podcast not relating to a movie I've been a part of. So I really appreciate it. And maybe next time I'll sound a little bit more insightful on certain topics you asked me about tonight because I think back to the questions. I'm like, oh, I wish I would have thought about that a little bit more, but I get a little nervous. So
no, it's okay. I still get nervous too for these podcasts, you know, like I've been doing this for a long time, but it's like if you don't do it for a long time, like a podcast, and you come back and do it, then you get nervous. But it's like when you're banging out a podcast every single day, you kind of just like stop. It's not that you stop caring, but it's almost like you just like
you feel like it's more natural for you.
Exactly, for sure. Well, Kaylee, it's been a great time, so I appreciate it.
Of course. Have a great night, and yes, definitely a round two sometime in the future.
For sure. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you. God bless. Have a great night.
You too. Guys, W podcast with Kaylee Guerrero, guys. Holy smokes. That was really good. I'm not going to lie. I think we got a lot of good moments out there. I think you guys enjoyed it too. So I appreciate everybody for supporting. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Tyson Hockley on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok. I really appreciate you guys and your support. Thank you guys for watching. And go follow Kaylee as well on X, Instagram, just Kaylee Guerrero everywhere. Great woman for sure. Great young lady. I gotta stop coughing so much. But like I said, she gives a good example for what I feel like women should be. Somebody says, ask her out. Bro, we live in different countries. She's 5 years older than me. I saw a lot of comments like, W Riz, ask her out. Like, guys, you're making me almost laugh on the podcast. Like, I'm reading your guys' comments trying, like, not to, like, lose my mind. Like, at one point, I just had to stop reading your comments. But appreciate